Hey, what's excuse me. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Inside the U live post-game show. Tough loss tonight. There's a lot to get into this one. Miami falls 61-60 to Florida State. I know it's very disappointing that Miami lost, and especially the way it came down to the end. However, there's a lot of positives with this one. Certainly there's things to correct. And for people that are just joining, definitely appreciate everybody. And for people that don't know the format of the live post-game show, I will go straight to Zooms with Coach Larranaga and players after they're available. As soon as we can, I'll switch over to that. A lot to get into this one. Isaiah Wong, among the many players who stepped up in the second half, but his aggressiveness on the offensive end, you saw what makes him a special player, a very difficult player to go against. Scores 18 of his game-high 22 in the second half, 2 4-point plays, an opportunity to win the game at the buzzer there. I like the call, put the ball in his hands. He's a very good one-on-one player. It just missed, but he got a good look at it, the 15-footer there on the wing. Couple defenders on him, but he had that clean look. A lot of energy from the crowd. Certainly a sellout crowd gets a lot of credit for that. And we'll get into some of those things, but certainly a disappointing loss in the fact that, with how it started that first half, Miami falls behind by 24 in the first half, essentially a half where nothing was going right. A lot of missed shots, some turnovers. I'm very curious to see what Jim Larranaga has to say about that half. I went ahead and raised my hand. I think I'm going to stick to maybe that second half and what he thought of the play of Isaiah, but I'm sure a lot of people will get into that first half, obviously. But look, college basketball, it's a full season. There's a lot to take away from this game in particular, but just look, Miami's had a good start to their season. I know it's disappointing. They dropped to 6-2 in the ACC. It's still a good start. This is still a good team. You saw why tonight. Why Miami can be a threat against whoever they play, even when they play as poorly as they did in the first half. So guards were special. I thought Cameron McGusty did a good job of sticking with it. We've seen this with him throughout the year. Finishes 3 for 10 from the floor, but the 5 of 6 from the free throw line. I think he started 1 of 7, so he did get a couple shots going, but he stayed engaged, and I thought that was important. So he did well, and I thought there were more moments too. Charlie Moore, again, the slow first half like everybody did. He was able to pick it up and got some buckets there in the second half. So overall, I understand your disappointment, but still a lot of takeaways to even get back into the game. And I thought even if they had that single-digit loss, there were still a lot of positives with that, with the way they played. And certainly there's things to correct, We got Jim Larranaga here.
Music is still on.
The music.
Alex. Turn the music off.
Coach, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, just give us 1 second here.
Recording in progress.
Working on getting that music shut off.
Alex, the music is on.
I know, Michelle, we're working on getting it shut
Okay,
off. I'll
thank
just
you.
reach out to the folks in charge and we'll have it off as soon as possible. Coach, if you'd like to start with an opening statement and then we'll go into questions.
Well, that was one hell of a college basketball game, and the place was sold out. Our students came to support the team, and they were treated. Can't hear me?
We can hear you, Coach. Continue.
You hear me, Michelle?
No.
Michelle, we're working on getting.
Still really loud. We can't
Michelle,
hear
we're working on getting
anything.
the music shut off. I
Can't hear
promise. In the
anything.
meantime, I'd suggest.
Hey, we'll wait until the music is shut off, Alex.
Okay.
I'm not in any hurry.
It seems like there's some technical difficulties with the in-game music, so I guess we'll just wait for Coach Larranaga here. Curious to get his thoughts on this one. Definitely. So if you're just joining us again, Coach Larranaga here, expecting players shortly after. Curious on their thoughts.
All right. We're good now.
Sounds like we're good to go here.
All right, Coach, go ahead.
I thought that was one heck of a college basketball game, and I was thrilled to see the place was sold out. Our students turned out in large numbers. It made for an absolutely electric atmosphere. The students were engaged the whole time, and I think the fans were really treated to two great basketball teams slugging it out. Florida State did a fantastic job, did everything right in the first half, and we dug ourselves a major hole, I think down 24. And we did a lot of great things in the second half, and we had a chance with 8 seconds to go to win the ball game, and unfortunately just missed. So I'm very, very proud of our players and, the job they did in fighting back and making this a great college basketball game.
All right, we'll go into questions now for Coach L. If you have one, please use the hand raise function and wait to be called on. We'll start with Chris Stock from InsideTheU. Chris.
Yeah, Coach, what does this say about your team to be able to battle back and really have a shot at the end? And how much can you use this moving forward with obviously still a lot of ACC games?
Well, I just think every ACC game is like this. I know people look at rankings and standings and stuff like that, but it's January. You want to look at that stuff in March as to how good the team played for an entire season. I've said it over and over again. The regular season is not a sprint. It's a marathon. And every game is worth the same value, one win or one loss. Oh, we've played 2 great games with Florida State. We've come up short both times by 1 point. But we have a very good team. They have a very good team. And the ACC is a great league. And we play Wednesday night. And it'll be another great game.
Just to follow, what was working well in the second half, you felt like?
Well, in the first half, honestly, I think we were a little out of sync trying to run offense. We weren't. And what happened is we missed some wide open shots, which I think would have gotten us going. They were good shots, they're open shots, but we missed them. And I forget what we were at halftime, but we didn't shoot well. I think we only had 1 made 3. And when you're not making your perimeter shots, it allows Florida State just to guard the rim, which they're so good at because they're so big. So second half, we were able to do a better job. We made a couple of threes. We were able to penetrate and pitch for a couple of shots. But the most important thing was our defense, our intensity at the defensive end picked way up, and we started trapping and scrambling and forcing turnovers, which really helped us.
Go now to Adam Lichtenstein from the Sun Sentinel. Adam, welcome to the beat, and go ahead for Coach L.
Thanks, Alex. Kind of touched on this a second ago, Coach, but was there anything that you thought FSU was doing in the first half that kind of hampered your offense?
Well, one of the things we emphasize to our players is to penetrate and pitch. Unfortunately, when we penetrated a little too deep and then turned it over. They tied us up. It was a jump ball. We threw a bad pass. We tried to throw a lob, but it was a little too high. All those things are about execution. In the second half, we did a much better job of finding the open man. And of course, I thought Isaiah Wong got hot and was able to score a little bit more effectively.
Go now to Michelle Coffin from the Miami Herald. Michelle.
Hey, Coach, I have a 2-part question. One is you talked about the defense earlier. You guys had so many steals in recent games, double-digit steals, and all the stuff you're talking about, the scrambling and the trapping. Why do you think that wasn't happening in the first half? That's my first part. The second part of the question is, even though the positive is that it's just 2 very close games, do you feel like you missed 2 opportunities there to beat FSU?
Yeah, well, of course we missed 2 opportunities. We played them twice and lost by 1 both times. And we had a chance to get a defensive stop. We didn't get it. We had a chance to make an offensive basket and didn't get it. So you always reflect back on those things. But you're talking about 2 very high-level teams and teams that are familiar with each other. The first question in the first half is if you miss shots, like we did, that when you're open, the other team's defense gets a chance to just, not worry about the three. Hey, they're not making shots. So all they have to do is guard the 2-point shot. Oh, that's what made their defense so effective in the first half. We were not able to score. In the second half, we did a much better job of finding the open man. And you asked about the scramble in the first half. You're talking about a team that handled the ball extremely well. And in the second half, they probably they quit running their offense and started just spreading us out. They didn't do any ball screens because we were trapping them. I just got to give our guys a lot of credit, because when you're down 24 points, it's very
26. It was actually 26 at one point.
26 points.
Yeah.
And to have the ball with 8 seconds to go, being down 26 at one point, you got to be, pretty happy to be in that position and a chance to win the game.
What'd you think of Mario Cristobal's cheerleading?
I have no idea.
Oh, you didn't see him? You didn't see him hyping up the crowd on the court?
I was pretty busy, Michelle.
I know. I just thought you may have seen it.
No.
We're going out to Najee Tobias.
I'm happy he did that. That's great. But I'm not actually watching the fans, or I see the students, because it's a huge group that was there today, and they were going crazy. So we thank them.
Going out to Najee Tobias from New Era Prep.
Coach Larranaga, one thing that really stood out, I noticed that you guys got them in foul trouble quite early in the second half, and then it wasn't too long before they actually ran out of timeouts. Could you speak to how you guys as a team were able to pull that off for Florida State to get you guys back in position to come back?
I was asked, first of all, of why we didn't force more turnovers in the first half and scramble, because when the game began, we got into immediate foul trouble. And you don't want to have guys on the court with 3 fouls at halftime. So we had to make an adjustment defensively. And Sam Waardenburg picked up an early foul. Jordan Miller picked up 2 early fouls. And that changes our strategy. In the second half, the game's a little bit shorter. And so we were able to put a little bit more pressure on them. And that worked effectively in the second half.
Last question for Coach L comes from Chris Stock.
Just what would you think of Isaiah's look at the end? What'd you think of it?
Yeah, he's very capable of making those shots. And the one thing is 8 seconds left. You're driving the length of the court, and Florida State is going to try to protect the rim and not let him get a layup. I wished he could have gotten all the way to the basket. That would have been great. But he pulled up. I mean, he's a terrific jump shooter, mid-range. And I think he got a good look.
Thank you.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time. We'll have players in shortly.
So there's a few things there that I want to get into with Coach Larranaga, but I want to make sure we don't miss other players coming in here. One of the things I did think Isaiah had a good look there, and it's tough, like you said, just to get that final run. It's not like the NBA where you get the ball at half court and you're able to run a little bit of a play or maybe do a little bit more ball screen. It's kind of get it and go the length of the court. Isaiah's a good one-on-one player. I thought he got a decent look, and obviously Florida State's going to key on him. It's tough to give it up, and I thought it was as good a look as you can get in that situation. It just rims off there. Miami drops to 6-2 in the ACC. My first question to Coach is, because I believe even with this loss, and I know they've already proven a lot already, but I do think that they can build on this as a positive, that they're going to be essentially, they should feel like they're in any game regardless of score. And I think that's a good thing, even though they didn't get the result they wanted today, this afternoon here. There's Sam Waardenburg.
You hear Sam?
Yep.
All right, great. We've got forward Sam Waardenburg here. We'll jump right into questions. Please use the hand raise function if you have one. We'll start with Chris Stock from InsideTheU. Chris, go ahead for Sam.
Sam, just your takeaways from this one, how the locker room's feeling. Obviously, I'm sure you got clearly disappointed in the first half, but the way you guys fought back. But just I'm curious what the mood in the locker room, kind of how you guys are taking this one right now.
Yeah, obviously it's a tough one. It's one that we really wanted, especially after the game up at FSU only about a week and a half ago. So yeah, obviously that's a bit of a sting, but the thing Coach Al emphasized with us in the locker room after that was just, keeping our heads high, keeping the energy high, because we fought hard for that one, and just didn't have a great first half. Everyone could see that, but the energy and fight that guys brought, and I also want to thank the fans as well, because that was probably the loudest game I've ever been a part of at the Watsco Center. So they were huge in that, getting us back into that game, that energy that they had as well. So hopefully we can get that back next home game.
Out to Adam Lichtenstein from the Sun Sentinel. Adam.
Hey, Sam. So, yeah, like you said, obviously not the best first half. In the locker room at halftime, what was kind of the message from the coaches to you guys, about staying in the game? Because it could have been very easy to kind of just put your heads down and just kind of, roll out the rest of the game. And what did they tell you at halftime to kind of keep you guys in the game?
Yes. So, we had that idea that when we're coming out, we're going to put immense pressure on them. We're going to start on a full court press, and we were going to mix it up. I was out there on ball screens. We'd double them, even if they would slip out, so they wouldn't actually set the ball screen. We still wanted to just pursue the ball handler and get him to make a bad choice or something like that. And that was working for us. They were getting stagnant in their offense, and they were turning the ball over, giving us opportunities. So I feel like that worked for us. And we ran a little bit of zone, I think, in the second half as well, that just mixing it up, making them uncomfortable and not really knowing what's coming. And, also on guys' minds, we'd been there before, we had a pretty bad first half against Syracuse when they came here. And we fought back and were able to get the win there. So that was also on our minds, we have experience. We know what to expect. We know what we need to do. And we put ourselves in a great position to win that one. But, yeah.
Going out to Michelle Kaufman from the Miami Herald. Michelle.
Hey, Sam, can you talk about that dunk at the end that, the whole place just went insane? What were you thinking at that moment? Did you think you guys were definitely going to win the game at that point?
Yeah, well, we never really, Coach Al always emphasizes you never play the score. You always play the game, and you put immense effort into the game. But on that dunk, the crowd was lots of energy. I think they cut it down to one. And yeah, obviously when you put yourself in that position, you're always feeling good, especially where we were at the beginning of the first half. I think every person on our team had a good feeling that we're going to take that one. But we got a shot from one of the best shot makers in the country. And didn't go down. He's made shots like that before for us in previous years, but that's just how it goes sometimes.
Can you talk about what makes FSU such a tough opponent? You've had two really close games with them, and both of them fell short. What is it that they do?
They're a team that, in this year and previous years, that they always have size. So they take up a lot of room on the floor, and that helps them on defense a lot. And they're a tremendous defensive team. When you drive into that paint, they crowd you, and it's quite difficult to find guys. But I feel like we actually did a pretty good job when we got into the paint, kicking it out. But in that first half, threes weren't really dropping for us or anything like that. The open looks that we were getting. They're a very good team. And hopefully, ACC tournament or something like that. I really hope we get to see them again, because I really want to get a dub against them. It's been a while.
Go back to Chris Stock.
Sam, you touched on Isaiah, one of the best shot makers you said in the country. I'm curious. You've seen him do this today. 18 in the second half, the 2 4-point plays. He was able to drive and kick one out to you. I'm curious what it's like kind of watching him and kind of your confidence in him, seeing what he's able to do out there on the court for you guys.
No, Zay's amazing. And, it's not something that's a surprise to you in the game because you see it every day. He works on shots like that. He puts a tremendous amount of effort into his game in practice and on the court. So it's not really a surprise. But yeah, some of the things he does, the control he has, especially when he's surrounded by. I think he had a layup in that second half. I had no idea how it went down, but that's just Isaiah Wong. Again, as I said, one of the best shot makers in the country. And but yeah, every guy in our locker room, we have a huge amount of trust in Isaiah Wong because he clearly shows that he can do things like that.
Thank you, Sam. We'll have Isaiah Wong in shortly.
So that wraps up. As you heard, Sam Waardenburg's extremely confident with what Isaiah Wong's able to do out there. It's really impressive to see him do that, to go on these stretches, these halves where he can really take over the game. You just don't see that a lot at the college level. He was able to do that tonight. The 2 4-point plays, which was pretty wild, and again that tough shot at the end. It's interesting, I will go back and talk about some of the things that Coach had to say that stand out to me. But Sam Waardenburg mentioning that he wants to get this win. Look, Sam's been around UM for a long time. This 9-game losing streak to Florida State is definitely on his mind. And like he said, he wants to see these guys again in the ACC tournament. And hopefully they get that opportunity because I know, upperclassmen like that has a lot of pride and hopefully that they're able to get a win. So Miami loses 1-point game again. It's interesting how it got to be a 1-point game, certainly much different than the game before. The 19 points in the first half, season low, coming off a game where they scored 49. It's crazy how different 2 games can be between the North Carolina game and this one right here against Florida State. So disappointing, in the result, understandably so, especially coming out like that. We're still waiting on Isaiah Wong here, and usually we only get 2 players, but I think he's here right now.
Hello.
You hear us?
Yep.
All right, folks. We've got guard Isaiah Wong here, who had 18 points in the second half tonight and also eclipsed 1,000 points in his college career. We will start off with Michelle Kaufman from the Miami Herald. Michelle, go ahead for Isaiah.
Isaiah, 2 things. One, what does it say about your team that you were able to come from 26 down at one point in the game to make it a 1-point game? And then on that same topic, losing to this team twice in 11 days by 1 point, how does that make your team feel?
What we saw from today from our team is just we're a hard worker. Even we had off first half, but the second half we just stayed together, came back and tried to put in as much effort as we can because we could have just quit the game in the first half and because we was down by like 26, but we all stayed together, and that's what I like about this team. We all play hard to the end, and we can make any comeback even if we down by as many points as possible, but we always have that hope that we can still win the game even though we're not doing so well. So with all that, we didn't have a good start at the first half, but that's how some games go. But just the effort we gave in, it's a good effort. And what's the second question?
The second part was losing 2 heartbreakers by 1 point to FSU. I don't think you've beaten FSU, right, since you've been here?
No, I haven't beaten FSU, but those are 2 heartbreakers. Just both games going down by 1 possession. It's just we like ACC. We're gonna get those types of games. So we just gotta keep on going through the madness and just keep on going. And some games we're gonna hit some game winners. Some games we're not. So we just gonna get through it, and we just gonna keep on compile these wins and prepare for the ACC tournament and try to get our wins up to March Madness.
What did you see on that last shot? What were you thinking on the very last shot there?
I was trying to attack the paint last possession, but they trapped me, and I just went off an instinct and just shot the ball fadeaway, and I missed it.
Going out to Wyatt Kopelman, WVUM. Wyatt.
Isaiah, obviously not the result you guys wanted tonight, but as that deficit continued to decrease in the second half, what was Coach L's message in the timeout huddle after you guys continued to rally, make some shots finally?
Just keep on putting the pressure, because they was turning the ball over and we was trimming that lead down little by little, and we just kept on pressuring and we kept on getting good looks. And first half we got good looks, we were just not hitting. But when the second half started coming in, we started making more shots and playing better defense and getting stops, and we just kept on going off of that.
Go to Chris Stock from InsideTheU now.
Yeah, Isaiah, I'm curious what your take is on this team. You guys are 8 games in the ACC schedule, what you guys have been able to do, and I'm competing for. I'm just curious where you see this team. I know these are the type of games you've wanted to be in since you've gotten to Miami. What do you think of this team? Because you did say you enjoy this team, you like this team, the way they fought back. Just kind of big picture where you see this team right now.
I see this team as one of the top teams in the ACC. As a player, I just look at these players and be like, yeah, he's one of the top players in the ACC, and he plays hard, plays at best, and all these players they all play hard, and they're all veterans, and they all can make it, and they all can make open shots, and they all can play defense at a great great pace.
Yeah, great rate.
Yeah.
The first half, Isaiah, what wasn't going right for you guys offensively? How would you kind of describe that first half?
We turned the ball over early, but we started to figure out and we started kicking out. But when we were starting to kick out, we wasn't making open shots, so we wasn't hitting shots. I checked, we was like at 13% or something in the first half of 3-pointers, but we just kept on going, and we were just not getting as much paint touches and kickouts. So when we started doing that, we started hitting, and we started coming back in the second half. So it was just all first half for us.
All right, Isaiah, thank you for your time.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone.
So that wraps up the post-game interviews. I was curious to get Isaiah's take on where he kind of sees this team, because we can all have our opinions, and fans and media and everybody watching. I was just kind of curious to get his take on kind of where he sees this team currently. So he feels like they're one of the best in the ACC. The record shows it. They talked a lot about that in the pregame show on ESPN's College Game Day. If you guys had a chance to watch that, one of the statements by Jay Billis was, your record is what you say that you are. Miami's 6-2 in the ACC. So, with Isaiah, touching on with what we said with what Sam had to say about Isaiah, just one of these tough guys, one of these tough shot makers in the country, and they've got a lot of confidence in him, and rightfully so. So there's a lot to like about with the way Isaiah's playing. I do want to talk about this first half a little bit. Here's the full stats from Miami. Okay, so I think people are going to look at this. Okay, if it's a 1-point game, why did Miami get down by 24 at halftime? Understandable question. You heard Coach Larranaga talk about that. There were some things that they weren't doing that led to this big deficit. Isaiah talked about the paint touches. For Miami, the paint touches has to do with more of their guards getting in there, either kicking it out or finishing. It's not like a low post presence where they're just going to feed it into the paint like some other teams, like Florida State, when they try to get paint touches. It's a lot to do with, getting that low post presence in there. So I thought that was notable. Miami did a much better job in the second half getting in the paint, whether they were finishing there or if they were able to kick it out. They were just doing a better job getting inside the paint more. Florida State deserves credit in this because they do make things difficult for teams. This is what they do. They're good defensively. This is what it looks like when they're on top of their game defensively. They switch everything. You heard that quite a bit with this game, 1 through 5. Their length, their point of emphasis. They play a lot of guys, so a lot of fresh bodies out there, and defense is a priority for them. So this is what it's going to look like at times for opponents when it's not going well. And again, Florida State's on a roll right now. They've won 6 in a row. They are also 6-2 in the conference. They also beat Duke. So this is a good team right now. You know, Florida State, I said it in one of these streams before, that it's not as good as they've been. And that's because Florida State has been a top 10 team in recent years. They're not that, but they are still a good team. They certainly can win this conference. And Miami has proven through these 8 games, they're going to be right there in the end because of the way they play, their 5 guys, their trio of guards, and the way Jordan Miller and Sam Waardenburg can complement them. So going back to the first half, things that led to this, look, some shots just weren't falling. There were times where McGusty was missing open threes. These things did not help very much. You know, Isaiah very strong in the second half with the 8 points. Look at the first half box here to see what I'm talking about. So Wong 2 for 6, Moore 2 for 6. McGusty 0 for 4, does make some free throws. But it's just a rough first half there. Florida State was doing well. And Coach Larranaga, you know, was asked about the defense. You know, why didn't they go to a scramble defense and press and things like that in the first half? That's not how this works. That's not how a game is going to work. Miami can get in foul trouble. They do not have a deep team. It is hard to press a team for 40 minutes. So they made the adjustment, and I understood it at that time. I think what adjustments they could have been made, or what they were hoping for, is if some shots fell 6 to 23 in the first half. Miami's not going to do that very often. Some 1 for 12 from 3. They'd been shooting the ball from 3 a lot better. So there were some things that were just a little bit out of character in that first half for Miami that were going on. But you can't press a team for 40 minutes, especially if you're not the deeper team. You're not the team that's noted for its defense. Miami is an offensive team. Now, they've improved on their defensive efficiency over the past few games. They're doing better in the Kim Palm rankings, but they're an offensive team. Lead the ACC in offensive efficiency in conference games. You know, so that's what they bank themselves on. That's their identity. Every team has their own identity. So I understood why they didn't press the whole game. But the important part was that when they did press, there was a lot of energy, regardless of what the game was going to look like at the end. I thought Miami did a great job in the second half, right from the beginning, either with their traps, creating turnovers, but just playing a lot more assertive on both sides of the ball. And I think that those are things you can take moving forward. Certainly there can be some adjustments because some teams, obviously in the ACC, they all look at film. Teams are going to look at the Florida State games that Miami has not done well in. It's the only 2 losses Miami has since November. They've won 10 of 12. So teams are going to look at this. So Miami's got to make sure that they're always on top of it, make adjustments from this moving forward. A game against Virginia Tech coming up next. That's their next opponent. They go on the road there. And certainly Virginia Tech's not been playing as well as Florida State has. And this is just a tough stretch Miami's in with the Florida States, North Carolina, Duke. I think all 3 of those teams are going to be right there at the top of the ACC standings. So with what Miami was able to do with beating Duke and North Carolina, losing to Florida State twice, going 2-2 in the stretch, you know, just kind of put that in perspective. Ken Palm predicted Miami would go 0-4 during that stretch. So to get 2 of these wins against 2 of the tougher teams, I think big picture wise, Miami's still in the mix. They're still at the top, looking to be one of those top 4 seeded teams so they can get the buys in the ACC tournament. And obviously the latest rankings, or the latest NCAA bracket projections by Joe Lunardi, has the ACC getting 5 teams in, and actually had Miami as the highest, the second highest seed at the 8 seed. So this team getting the tournament would be a great accomplishment from where they've been. I think that can still be a goal. They've got to certainly tighten up on some things. I'll read some of the comments here. So great to see. Yeah, I understand some of the stuff with Isaiah Wong. I think, look, again, that's kind of the same thing we saw with Sam Waardenburg. You know, does Isaiah Wong come up big? I think sometimes his big second halves can get overshadowed when he scored 18 in the second half. But college players aren't going to score 18 and 18 in each half. He's not going to have a 36-point game. That's very rare at the college level to do that. So, yes, I thought he was aggressive on some shots. He missed some shots, the 2 of 6, but he turned it up. And I think, that happens. I saw Wendell Moore from Duke at the noon game against Syracuse before this game started. I think he had 2 or 4 points, and then at the end of the game, he finished with like 15, 7, and 5. So, it's just about the totality of the 40 minutes. So I don't think that there's anything to worry about with Wong because, again, if he was 0 for 1 in the first half, that would be something that would concern me. But missing some shots when teams are obviously focused on him, that's not a huge concern. The 2 of 6, and again, he turned it up. He played 19 minutes in the first half. Overall, disappointing first half by the whole team, I think. I don't think there's any question about that. And certainly with the expectations now with this team of, can they be a top 4 team? Can they win an ACC regular season title? It's crazy that this team is in position to do that. They certainly got to keep the wins going. And like Jim Larranaga said, they're looking at this thing as a marathon. And I think he's got a good perspective. And he's a guy that's been around a long time. And I think that veteran leadership helps him. Also, he's won a regular season title in the ACC with Miami. So he understands what it takes. And if you guys remember that season, Miami started 13-0 and it was able to hang on down the stretch to win the ACC there. And that was a very good team, very balanced. This is a different team, but the competition is also different. There's not that strong competition there, as strong as it's been. I don't want to downplay what Florida State, Duke, North Carolina, these teams can play well, certainly. And I think these 3 teams, in addition to Miami with what we've seen, I think these are your top 4 teams in the conference. I know Louisville got off to that good start. I was not convinced they were a team that's going to be in there. They've got some player role situations to figure out. And just the strengths of these other teams, I think, are a little bit better. So these are the 4 teams. It'll be interesting to see how things go moving forward. Wake Forest is another team. I see Trevor saying they're overrated, but look, they're probably in that next group. There's a bunch of teams in the ACC that they're better than, I think. So Wake Forest just got off to that really good start, and it's just not able to win the games that they've needed to since then. So I don't want this to go too long. I do want to touch on a few more comments. As always, you can watch this back. I had some initial thoughts. Jim Larranaga, Sam Waardenburg, and Isaiah Wong jumped on here. So I guess just kind of wrapping things up, a few things, kind of going back to the stats here. I'm going to look a little bit at some comparison stats. So points in the paint for Florida State was 40, Miami 26. That's similar to what it was in the first game, but the percentage it's just not good for Florida State. Miami will have to be better at that. They hold Florida State to 61 points, which is great, but the 40 points in the paint, the 8 from the free throw line, look, they're getting a lot of buckets down low, and Miami's going to have to figure out different ways. It's not just with Florida State, but with other teams moving forward. And Florida State isn't the only team that has had success with its post players. I touched on Wake Forest, Jesse Edwards at Syracuse. These guys had big days against Miami. Mark Williams even at Duke. So they'll have to continue to work on that. It's a work in progress. I saw somebody on our live game thread on InsideTheU was curious why Miami doesn't go inside. Well, that's not Miami's strength. Miami doesn't have a well-rounded team. They don't score in the block with guys. Now, Jordan Miller and Sam Waardenburg are more comfortable knocking down shots from the perimeter. And as you saw with Sam, he could finish with dunks. Miller can finish with dunks as well, kind of slip in there and make some plays. But that's not their strength. Miami's strength is not their interior offensive, output there. They can get it going with their guards. You see here, McGusty, 12 points. Charlie Moore, 12 points. The 4 turnovers. But again, when this team needed these 3 guys to step up, they did. And I think that's the biggest takeaway. The biggest thing, I think, for Miami moving forward, certainly you can be disappointed in the loss. You can be disappointed in the first half. There's no doubt about that. And I think that rightfully so. But the fact they got it within 1 point, the fact that they turned this game around, you just don't see that very often. And, they got it right at the end, within striking distance. I thought was really impressive with how they played in the second half. That does not happen everywhere. You might not see that again from a Miami team the rest of the way, just because it's such a big deficit and they did not look good at all. And Florida State's a good team. So a lot going on in this one. I want to thank everybody here. I'm going to wrap this up. Once again, you can watch it back. Thanks everybody for your support. I'll have some more stuff on this game. Certainly plenty of more content on InsideTheU.com. So thank everybody for jumping in here, joining the chat. I appreciate reading your comments. I'll definitely go back and read some more as well. I know there's things I missed, so I'll do a takeaways article on the website to kind of take some time and kind of formulate my thoughts, possibly even hopefully better than I did today. So thanks for jumping on. I want to appreciate everybody. Have a good rest of the day.